Happy New Year. It's interesting. So I wasn't supposed to be here today. Cameron was supposed to be on because I do several shows. I wasn't quite sure what day I had off.
You do so many shows, you can't keep track of your shows.
Well, you yesterday you said, hey, we're going to have somebody on. I said, okay, cool. And then Paul's over there, the big boss, and he's like, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, I guess I am working tomorrow. But I didn't know. But here I am.
Well, and we do have somebody on. We got Scott DesJarlais in the 1 o'clock hour.
That's right. It's going to be pumping, rocking and rolling. Talk about, this guy named Mike Johnson. Who will he or won't he be the speaker? Maybe. I don't know. It's a crappy job. I'm just going to tell you this right now. It is. And some of you out there may hate him because he's not as MAGA as you want. That job is, you know what that job is for the most part? It's referee, right? You're a referee. You know who likes referees? Either the team that gets the call they want or when you never know who the referee is. Like, that's when you're like, it's a good game. It's a really good game. Well, I don't know. Who's the referee? I don't know. I'm like, it is a horrible job. And yesterday, Trump backed him. You know, he's humbled. Of course he is. Very, very conservative fellow, by the way. And I think, we've got to separate MAGA and the populism and conservatism. And I think the Reagan kind of era. This guy is a nerd, very devout. He is not the loud, in-your-face kind of guy.
I'm really humbled and honored to have President Trump's endorsement for Speaker again. He and I work so well together, so closely together, and we have a lot of big things to do. He recognizes that what we need right now, I think my colleagues recognize this as well, is a proven fighter and a true MAGA conservative, but also someone who can work with every single member of our very diverse House GOP so that we can get President Trump's priorities over the line. That's what's ahead of us.
And that's the most important thing, getting everything over the line. Well, I don't like him, and he's not going to stand for this. He's not going to stand for that. Whether wanting to stand for something and then having the opportunity to do it are two separate things. This dude may want to stand for a lot of stuff that the MAGA crowd would be absolutely thrilled by, but you don't have a massive margin. And if you don't, you have to work within the constraints that you have. That's the rules that have been set up. I was talking earlier with Cameron Smith, and he's like, Newt had 12. He could lose 12 people and still get it over the line. Mike can't lose 12 people. If he loses 4 or 5, then he's got to go to the Democrats, which nobody wants him to do. Or they can do nothing, which, by the way, isn't a win. Trump doesn't want to come into this going, we look like a clown show. I don't want us to be a clown show. That's why he backed him. Doesn't mean he can't change him down the road, but you need consistency. When you go and you get stuff done, guess what happens? That becomes a win. When it becomes a win, you win more, meaning you start to increase that margin. When you don't get anything done to the point of ridiculousness, then people look and go, well, what are you guys doing there? It is a thankless job. It is. And we're going to talk more about it throughout the day. The reality is, I think he'll probably get over the line, but that's a job now where who's going to want it if you blow him out? You'll have a couple. The issue is the couple that, the MAGA crowd, they want this guy. Well, that guy that you want isn't getting over the line because these people over here aren't going to vote for it. So then you're at the point where it's like, all right, we finally have to come up with somebody. And then you're back at square one. I heard people yesterday go, well, Kevin McCarthy was better than this. But you blew him out. And a lot of that was personal with Gates and that. But the reality is it's a crappy job that should, it should be the job, right? But do you remember Boehner? Remember when Boehner left? Man, he was thrilled. He looked great. I interviewed him because he was doing something with weed. He was on a board of a weed company or something.
I would love to see that guy stoned. That would be hilarious.
But he goes, man, the minute I got out of there, it's like the whole world's off my shoulders because you have so much of it on your shoulders. And again, I'm not thrilled by some of the stuff that Mike wants to do or doesn't want to do. I think we spend too much in certain areas. I would love to see a lot of this stuff. But you know what? Long before Mike Johnson got there, Congress decided to give up a lot of their power and kind of move aside. And because of that, that's part of this giant bureaucracy and crap that we've got going on. It is New Year's Eve, and for the most part, a lot of people staying home.
As roughly 1 million people plan to ring in the new year by reveling in New York's Times Square, nearly 3/4 of Americans plan to stay home to end 2024. That's according to a new survey from the Associated Press and researchers at the University of Chicago. The poll asked American adults, how do you plan to spend New Year's Eve? It found that 72% plan to celebrate at home, 21% will go to a relative or friend's home, and just 6% overall intend to go out to a bar, restaurant, or other organized party. The number of people going out doubles to about 13% for the age group 18 to 29. People 60 and older are least likely, just 2%.
Yeah, you heard Chris and I talking before we switched over. I have no interest in going out, and it's weird because I've always kind of been like that. Where like I'm not a party guy. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I just go to a bar. It doesn't interest me. When I was younger, went out, friends. When I was in my 20s. But even very rarely. And the other part of it is it's just, it's amateur hour. There's too many loons out there. And at a time, as we talked about for the last couple of days, and I'm going to mention it again and again and again, we have more ways to get home safely or to get to something safely than ever before. Yet, I can guarantee you, people are going to die over the weekend. Tonight. It's going to happen. People are going to go out and they're going to get killed by a drunk driver. They're going to go out and through no fault of their own, they're going to get killed. And people are going to go out and through idiocy of their belief that they can drive drunk, they're going to hit somebody. And it's ridiculous. It really is. That's one of the reasons. And the other reason is the thought of being around like you're here tonight. Was it 200,000 people? Is that what we're really expecting? What's the weather going to be like tonight, Ken?
It is going to be chilly, Brother Chad, because you're going to have to factor in the wind, too. The low, we're probably going to be about 40 to 42 degrees by the time the big red music note drops. But the wind that we're seeing now, that is going to persist through the night.
What is who's performing tonight? Do we know?
Keith Urban.
Yeah, Keith is.
Yeah, Keith Urban is the headliner, but you have Jelly Roll, Kane. What's that guy's name?
Kane Brown?
Yeah, Kane Brown, and then some others are going to be performing too.
Tell you what, I'd like to see Jelly Roll.
I have one question, Ken, and I'm asking this on behalf of Matt Murphy.
All right.
You got the wind and everything. What's the feels like going to be?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what the feels like will be with 25 mile per hour winds at 40 degrees. I would think pretty chilly.
Oh, yeah, that just sounds awful.
You might want to put your shirt back on.
And I just asked that question because Matt hates it when people say feels like.
Well, I went out, I took the dogs out this morning, and, it says it's like, 48 or 50.
Yeah.
And I just have my T-shirt on and shorts, and we walk outside, and I was like, this isn't 48.
No. I'm of the belief that if it feels like it's 35, then it's 35.
Yeah.
The wind makes it worse.
Yeah, the wind. When I will play sports in anything. I'll play in rain. I'll play in snow. I'll play in excessive heat. The wind is the thing I hate more than anything.
Yeah. I don't like the wind whenever I'm walking because it splits my beard.
Yeah, well, you don't.
And
want
I get
that.
funny looks from people driving by.
Well, you don't want any of that, dude. Especially with your ninja looks. So,
Better
you
look
look like Master Poe or somebody. Like you're going to teach us something. Give us some of your wisdom with your beard. Wisdom. 2025. Are you ready for it? Resolutions. What are the biggest?
A new poll from the AP and the University of Chicago's Nork Center finds that more than 50% of us do resolve to do something in the coming year to improve our lives or the lives of others. The same study finds that about 40% of us anticipate a better year personally. About a quarter think next year will be worse than 2024.
Yeah, and a lot of that is based on politics. So if you are a conservative, you feel the year is going to be good. If you are a Democrat, you're losing your mind because, Trump, which is, what's funny is you go online and it was Colin Rugg or Jack Posobiec or End Wokeness or, Libs of TikTok, to still see people 2.5 months after the election or whatever it is, month and a half after the election, posting stuff about what they're going to do, how they're going to escape America, how they're going to do all these things, terrified that they're going to be rounded up. And I'm shocked. And I shouldn't be, right? Because I've met people. Like, Daniel Tosh, the great comedian, said, how 95% of you get jobs is amazing. I've met people, but the fact that people still feel like there's some sort of net that we get to go catch women, and that, everybody who is trans is going to be round up and they don't exist, so they can be eliminated. And it is insane. Like, here's my prayers for you people out there this year. You get help. That's it. You get a little bit of help, and that's it, right? You take a deep breath, and you get help. And I've always wondered this, and I think it's a good thing that we talk about. At what point do you realize that, oh, wait, he's not coming for us? He's not coming to take us away. He's not going to lock us up. Is there a moment? Because I'm sure somebody's listening right now, because one thing you'll notice after being in this business for a long time is the people that dislike you listen for a long time and surprise a lot of people.
And probably listen to you the most.
Yes. It was Stern, right? Like, that was just, how many, how long do people listen? 2.5 hours. How long do people listen who hate him? They listen for 4 hours.
Yep.
Pig vomit. That's what they called him, right? Pig vomit?
In the movie, I was pig virus in the book.
Yeah, pig virus. Can't say that anymore. 5 years ago today, that the flu, I got an interesting story about COVID because, and we'll talk about it a little bit, the whole thing, again, looking back on it, now we've got the bird flu, which is awful, but how many of you are working with poultry? Not a lot. Are working with poultry. Some of you might be. Some of you are chicken farmers, but these are people who are, and they've had 62, but more times you see this is in the summer, but they're always trying to push, something, flu vaccine or this, that, and the other. And, do your homework. That's what I always tell everybody. Did you get a vaccine? I did. Mostly because my on-air partner, when I got the COVID vaccine, was such a freak when it came to, he was, and still is, a hypochondriac, like the kind of guy where you bump his knee and he's like, I probably have cancer. And you're like, okay. But he knew what everybody got, when they got it. And it was hilarious. But, I didn't explode or anything. Would I want to do it again? No, I would like more work done. But the reality is just like you said yesterday, when it comes to stuff like this, as they're talking about this vaccine and that vaccine, if we gave everybody in America an aspirin, somebody's going to be allergic to it. Got to take that into account. But if you're young and healthy, you don't need all the antibiotics and crap that they throw down you. It's nuts. It really is. A lot of stuff to get to today, including more on Mike Johnson. An interesting thing with Mike. Again, like I said, some of you are mad, some of you are not. What do you say about this? We'll talk a bit about Mike Johnson. Also, the COVID. So an interesting thing that I started talking about 5 years ago and before that took place. And I still talk to my buddies about, what I was saying and how they were like, wow, you were like really on this thing. I was. A bunch of other things to get to. My name's Chad Benson. The Chad Benson Show in earnest kicks off on Thursday. Lots of crazy stuff, lots of fun stuff, lots of politics, pop culture. We hope you join us for the fun. If you're missing the show, I say shame, grab the podcast. You can text us. Got the number? Bell, tell them the number because I can't find the number.
737-998-9986.
There you go.
Area code 615.
It's somewhere in here. So you feel free to text us. I try to answer as many texts, and if I'm not doing it, Bell is as well. This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. How about a new year, a new back, if you will, maybe new knees? My buddies over there at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, I want you to go see them. When I went in their facility, first of all, I was like, oh, okay, because you're like, I'm not quite sure what to expect. It was amazing on the outside, and then you get to the inside, and you're like, this is cool. Then you get in, and you're like, whoa. Like nothing in America. Nobody has what he has. It is amazing when it comes to your back, when it comes to your knees, what they do and how they do it is second to none. And from somebody who understands that having a bad knee, having a bad back, having played sports my entire life, to the point where I couldn't even take my wife dancing because I was like, my knees can't handle it. This is awesome. And I want you guys to go see him. 2025, it kicks off tomorrow. Don't you want to feel better? Don't you want your back to feel great? Don't you want your knees to feel great? Call them. Tell them I sent you. 615-246-5009. Tell them, hey, Chad sent me. My back hurts. I want to dance with my wife. What do you do? And you watch what happens. 615-246-5090. That is the Wellness Institute of Nashville.
Got a crash. This is going to be the East Loop downtown going westbound right there at exit 49. Then coming up, we've got all the preparations for one of downtown Nashville's biggest celebrations, and nearly all of Puerto Rico is in the dark. We'll tell you about it at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Trump tried to buy Puerto Rico yet?
Somebody didn't pay the power bill, apparently.
It feels like something. Trump was like, Puerto Rico does what? If we pay the bill, do we get them? So he wants the Panama Canal back.
Yeah.
And Greenland. And what's the other? Oh, Canada. Here's my thing with Canada. Do we break Canada up, right? So the provinces as states, or do we just keep them as a big state? That's an interesting one. Because, do we want some of these, they speak French. Do we really want the French? Quebec? Oh, listen, Mr. Bailey. So wonderful for you. Welcome to the United States of Canada. I don't know. That'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting. He's not going to, by the way. He loves it because he knows it really jabs at, Trump's great at being a troll. He loves it. He enjoys it. I think he thinks half my job is being the troll in chief. And he knows that the media is going to react. They're going to lose their blinking mind. And that's what they do. Like the Panama Canal, like with, we went to Canada in the 51st state, calling, Trudeau the governor, which is, wasn't that great? I feel bad for Governor Trudeau. It's awesome.
What I love about that entire scenario is that basically Trump summoned him to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
And he just didn't even, he got on the plane and he responded. He did what Trump told him to do. Get your ass down here, you little commie.
And he did. And he went there because he's worried about, obviously, tariffs. And, but if you think about it, Canada's got, like, more natural resources than maybe anywhere else on the planet, like, across the board.
Well, and they have all the maple syrup.
They do.
So that's reason enough to invade them right there.
You ever seen the movie Canadian Bacon?
Yeah.
No.
You've seen it, right, Ken?
Oh, yeah.
So it stars, was it Alan Alda?
Alan Alda,
John Candy.
All of those former SCTV players.
Yeah, so
wait a minute. Alan
Eugene
Alda
Levy.
from MASH?
Yeah.
He was in a movie with John Candy?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Never
what
heard
happens in the movie is it's peace, right? Alan Alden's the president. It's peace. There is nothing in the world that's going on, chaos. But his numbers are in the tank because there's nothing to rally around the president. So they hatch a plan based on the fact that two American guys, John Candy's buddy, go over to Canada and start a fight at a hockey game in the crowd. They take them into custody. Then they're going to invade Canada and start a war with Canada. And they got all this, and the CIA, it shows you how the CIA builds up, the disdain for Canada. It's hilarious. It's a comedy. Rip Torn's in it too.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Goodness, it was a great movie. But it's funny when you think about the fact that they are a top hat, right? We've got our Hirachis and top hat. It's not very nice, Chad. It's very racist. Whatever. So 5 years ago, the insanity of COVID hit us. And it was, nobody knew what it was. So I had a buddy who has he has the warehouse and like a manufacturing thing in Wuhan. And Wuhan's it's like Chicago plus. Calls me in October and he goes, dude, it's really weird. So what's going on? He goes, there's nobody on the streets. So what do you mean? He goes, nobody's on the streets. Nobody. And by November, he's like, it's like a movie, like 28 days. There's nobody on the streets. And he's all, something's coming. There's been some sort of virus chatter around here. And I started talking about it at my old station. And I kept saying, there's something coming. Something coming big. You guys got to pay attention. I don't bring this stuff up lightly. Something coming. And it was crazy.
Well, I remember CNN seeing a report on CNN, I want to say in October or November, China building hospitals. Like bulldozers in China were flattening land and were building hospitals.
Yeah, that was so bizarre.
October or November.
Yeah, because and then when they go back and look, obviously they could see what was going on with how the hospital spikes were over there. You could see how the parking lots were full and all this stuff was happening. But to see a city, imagine today if we woke up and there's nobody on the streets.
13 million people in that city.
Gone, just gone. Everybody's in their house and they have the drones flying around saying, resist the want to have freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord. Just insane. So much stuff, fun stuff to get to, crazy stuff to get to. We're going to do it all. Bigfoot. We know what happened to those two guys, or do we? See, this is the stuff they want you to think happened, but I think we know what happened. Talk a bit about that, a bunch of other things to get to. Reach out to us via text. You can always reach out to us there. You can tweet at me directly, at Chad Benson Show. Check out my Instagram and everything else. Happy New Year, everybody. It's New Year's Eve. Be safe out there. It's the Chad Benson Show. News Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to be windy, and the low tonight going to be in the low 40s. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. It's Happy New Year on the other side of the globe. That's how it sounded in Bangkok, Thailand. Here in Nashville, 200,000 people expected to ring in the new year at Bicentennial Park. Security enhancements in place. That includes hundreds of Metro cops. Channel 4 says Red Frogs, one of the organizations who'll be helping people. Maybe you need directions, phones charged, maybe a bottle of water, or just a place to regroup with family or friends. Just look for the Red Frog tents. Meanwhile, in Puerto Rico,
an island-wide blackout plunging Puerto Rico into darkness on New Year's Eve, leaving 90% of customers, some 1.3 million, without power. The utility that runs the grid blaming the outage on a failed underground power line and says repairs could take a couple of days. It's just another frustration for Puerto Rico's residents, already familiar with frequent outages due to an outdated power grid that's still reeling from Hurricane Maria in 2017.
That is Dave Packer reporting. A team of U.S. investigators and reps from Boeing in South Korea helping investigate Sunday's deadly airline crash, including why a concrete structure the plane slammed into was so close to the runway. 179 people killed, only 2 survivors. We get more from ABC News foreign correspondent Britt Clennett in Muan.
Devastated family members wailing and clutching each other as they gather at the crash site, looking out at the wreckage. Others still processing the loss. Kim Bok-wan had 3 family members on board, including his brother Dok-wan. He tells me, "My heart aches. Every time I speak, I feel like I'll burst into tears."
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Bigfoot, did he kill again? There's a great movie. I was telling Matt, yes, I couldn't figure out what it was. If you guys want to see it, it's hilarious. But it's an independent movie with Sam Elliott, who's a great actor, by the way, the voice. It is called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Bigfoot. And just a quick snapshot. Hitler was assassinated in this movie. He was assassinated. And now Sam is basically, it's like a 3 or 4 year old movie. He's older now. And they know this guy has killed him in the past. And they need him to do one more job. And they need him to go after and kill Bigfoot because Bigfoot has a virus that would wipe out humanity.
Boy.
Yeah. It's an interesting movie. It really is. So, but that's Sam Elliott, baby. I love Sam.
Sam Elliott.
Did Sam need to
taking on
check?
Bigfoot.
No, I don't think you need to check. You know what? So people always think, because having grown up in Hollywood, I have friends in the business big time, and they'll tell me, I always say, how does so-and-so, why is he on a movie like that? And they'll say, let me tell you how this works. That guy's agent, this is his kid's first movie. And he made a promise that, hey, I'll be in a movie. So he comes, he does 4 or 5 weeks, he gets a little bit of money, but he's doing somebody a solid. Unless you're Nicolas Cage.
And that's actually very common in both the movie and the music industry. It's like, hey, you want to book my guy for your movie? You need him to headline?
Yeah.
Hey, I got these 3 new guys over here that are going to be in the movie with him.
Yeah.
Well, no. We just want the big name. It's not going to work like that.
Yeah, you know, and you being in the music industry like you were, I mean, I'm sure it's like, hey, you know, if you want so-and-so on tour, you know, you might need to help us out
there were plenty of times that we would get into the marketing legwork of it, and one artist would start to affect another in that way. It's like, well, hey, you know, you want the Counting Crows on your radio show? I got another band over here you need to look at.
Yeah, that's part of it. So that's why you saw Bruce Willis in a lot of movies, because he was doing, you know, it was easy for him. Plus, you know, and Nicolas Cage, who, by the way, is my favorite actor in the world. Nicolas Cage will do 5 movies.
It's an American treasure.
3 of them are the worst, greatest movies you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
One of them is okay, and the other one he'll get an Academy Award nomination for.
Which
and then afterwards,
yeah.
he goes straight from there to doing a movie about being some sort of ninja that comes from the future.
Yes.
And he only ever plays Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Except for in Long Legs.
Yeah. Oh, God, I love that movie.
Dude, I'm telling you, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
But I'm like you. Brilliant film.
He is. He is an American treasure. Did you ever see Willy's Wonderland?
I have not seen that.
It is about kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's, about this old abandoned place.
Okay.
And he gets hired there. He doesn't have one line in the entire movie, and he's amazing.
I'm watching it.
You would. It's just great because he's just so.
And you're right, though. That movie is an absolute total ripoff of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Well, yeah, it is. It totally is. It is. But that's what I love about him. And what was the movie, the Under the Weight of Massive Talent or whatever he did a few years ago about him?
Oh, yeah, with Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
That's a great film.
He's just awesome. He is such a horribly great actor.
He is, man.
He is.
You nailed him.
I just, every time, I told my wife, oh my God, because you can go online and you're like, I didn't know that he made 27 movies last year. Oh, he did.
And what I love is that, you know, you'll have these agents going to the producers going, you know, we really need to get him involved in this. And the producer's like, well, I have X amount of dollars. Oh, there you go. We hit the mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, can we see the script? You don't.
He doesn't need a script.
Yeah, doesn't need a script. Just make sure the check's good.
Have you met Nicolas Cage? He doesn't need a script. He's brilliant.
He is, man.
Man, that movie with the truffle pig?
Yes.
Yes.
I think
it
so.
broke my heart, though, man. At the made me angry and sad.
Yes.
I won't give it away.
Signing on for a movie where you have no lines, that just had to be him. That was probably a bucket list thing. I want to do a movie where I don't say
I want to
anything.
show everybody how I can stretch my legs as an actor, Bell. Watch me use just facial expressions.
It's pretty, I mean, you think about it, it's pretty interesting.
It's what he does. That's the beauty. Right now, I bet you can go to his IMDb now. He probably has 60 movies coming out.
He's got 40 of them in post-production and 20 of them in pre-production.
Half of them are about him being some sort of wizard ninja or a witch fighter or, you know, somebody from the future. And the other half, you're like, well, that's an art movie. Oh, you might win an Academy Award. Maybe. Maybe. You don't know. He's great at playing pretend. That's all I know. Remember when he bought the head? He bought the head of the dinosaur?
Yes.
He and Leonardo DiCaprio got into that huge fight over who was going to buy that thing. He's gets married to that lady and they break up in the airport. He's just fantastic.
He is,
We
man.
need more of him. My favorite movie by all time, by the way, Valley Girl.
Mine with him is Wild at Heart.
That's a great movie. That is. But Valley Girl was his first movie.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it says Nicolas Cage. I think it says Nicolas Coppola in it.
That's right.
Yeah, because he's Coppola's nephew.
Yeah.
The single best movie that man ever did, and it will never be topped, is Raising Arizona.
That was a great movie.
And then
Phenomenal movie.
Was it Leaving Las Vegas as we got the Academy
Oh,
Award?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's phenomenal. So if you guys have a chance this weekend, watch movies about the great.
What was
Nicolas
that
Cage.
again? Willy's
Wonderland, I think it's called.
Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah,
All
and
right,
as you
dude.
watch a Nicolas Cage movie this weekend, you got to remember that what you're watching is him responding to a paycheck and having never read the script.
Yeah.
Even after he started filming the movie.
I don't because he spends like $500,000 a month on stuff that's stupid.
He used to have a multi-million-dollar comic book collection.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like the first appearance of Superman, first appearance of
He's
Batman.
like Johnny Depp, right? Like it's like you go and look and you say,
That's
all right, you spent $7 million on wine last month. I think it's not a good wise decision. You know?
Not with that wife he had.
Oh.
Hey, you know what?
She pooped in his bed.
Yeah.
You want the Declaration of Independence back?
She pooped in his bed. I don't care what anybody says. If you're with somebody that is so mad at you that they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a growler on your pillow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amber Turd did that.
Absolutely.
That's terrible.
But I tell you what, man, Johnny came out of that smelling like a rose, no pun intended.
You know, it was one of those things. I watched some of the trial, and my whole time I'm like, you guys both deserved each other. You guys are the worst people around. You look at her, and the first thing you think of, you're going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Everything about you is a nightmare. And you look at him, and you're like, you are crazy. You're cuckoo. I don't even know what this is about. You are a wackadoo. It is, he was, again, it just goes, everything about it's Hollywood, though. Like, that's what I expect. He's the guy, like Johnny Depp will not do a movie unless he gets to play dress up. Like, have you ever noticed, like, every movie is about him being like a
Interesting
15th century pirate or an 8th century chef? He needs to dress up.
Interesting point.
Oh,
But I tell you what, Disney screwed up.
Yes, they did.
They screwed up, man, because he could still be doing those Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, well, they did screw up on that because there's only one Jack Sparrow.
Well, they offered him the gig back, and he told them to pound sand.
I think, you know, because Disney got popped for because Disney did so many insane things over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And they really blew. But, you know, it's a perfect example of somebody, though, when, like, you want to know what Hollywood's like? Actors are great at playing pretend. That's all it is, playing pretend. There's a great TV show out. Jim Jeffries starred in it, who's the Australian actor, and he goes in, like, this is kind of about his life. He's a comedian. He comes over here. He goes in for a audition. So he's in there for an audition, and they make him take his shirt off, and he's not really fit because it's like a beer commercial, and they make fun of him. And he looks at them, and he goes, acting's not hard. He goes, name one other profession in the world where an 8-year-old can win the award as the best. Tatum O'Neal won an Academy Award at 8. That's right. Oh, my Lord. Oh, good times, people. See, you don't want to just talk politics all day. Many of you are chiming in. Johnny Depp, Gilbert Grape. That was a great movie.
Great movie.
Great movie. Johnny Depp was good with Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Raising Arizona. Con Air. Oh, Con Air was so awesome. The mullet on Nicolas Cage was spectacular. My favorite person in Con Air, though, Steve Buscemi, the crazy serial killer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was great. He was great. Like the whole, but that's the beauty of, here's the thing. When I look at somebody like Nicolas Cage as an actor, my first thing that comes to mind is he entertains me.
Yep.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
I go to a movie, I want to be entertained. You're going to give me 90 minutes, and it may be pure, unadulterated, just hogwash, but you're going to entertain me.
Yep.
And I love that. And that's like, I was surprised this year when he did the Long Legs, because it was just so awesome.
That movie, I'm telling you, folks, if you haven't seen it, it's not going to be what you expect.
No, it's not. It is not going to be what you expect.
It is actually a really good film.
Yeah. It is a creepy.
Oh, it's creepy.
Thriller kind of horror movie. But so much of it was also based on like the fear of the isolation.
Yes. Yeah.
Being out where they were, the coldness of the world that they lived in. It was so much of that that's what I loved about that movie. And then you throw him in.
Yeah.
And he was just a nut.
Dude, I would not have known that was Nick Cage had I not known he was playing that character. I would not have noticed that was Nicolas Cage.
People chiming in on the best Depp movies as well. Do you remember, because I'm trying to get Armie Hammer on the show.
Yeah.
After his fall from grace. When they said he was a cannibal. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
But I want to get him on. The first thing I want to ask him is, before all of that other stuff, so you were going to play the Lone Ranger. At what point did they decide, you know what, let's just make this movie Tonto with a guy called the Lone Ranger?
Exactly.
And that was a crazy movie. That was nuts. Like, there was 2 hours of Johnny Depp acting like he's in one of those weird cologne commercials.
Johnny took the role a little too literally and did a whole lot of peyote before they started shooting.
Yeah, Fear and Loathing is a great movie, too.
Yes.
Oh, that was brilliant.
That is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I was really kind of worried about that because I love the Bill Murray version, too.
Yeah.
That's such a great, it's a great extrapolation of the book.
Yeah.
But this one with Johnny
Well, I think
just
Bill Murray
knocked it out of
maybe
the
came
park.
closer to the book.
Yeah.
Where Johnny Depp was over the top.
Yeah, it was.
Because that's what he does.
Well, and that's what Hunter was. He was way over the top.
Oh, he was way. Didn't Johnny Depp shot his ashes off in a cannon, right? Like, was that the goal? I think that's what he did. Hunter wanted him to take his ashes, put it in a cannon, and then shoot the cannon.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Johnny Depp kind of thing. It's so awesome. See, guys, we would talk about a lot of stuff. We'll talk a little Bigfoot coming up. We got some other stuff. Again, this is our New Year's Eve show. We're having fun. This is going to be crazy chaos. Let's talk politics. You know what? That's coming on Thursday. That's coming Friday, and a lot of other times. But we do talk about other stuff here. And I'm sure many of you are throwing in your favorite movies of Cage and Depp, which is awesome. Who's the most over actor of the bunch?
The over actor. It's got to be Johnny Depp.
Yeah, I would think it's Johnny Depp. I would.
Because
Johnny doesn't really overact.
I think he does, but he's good at it. He makes it entertaining.
Yeah, he is good.
I think the man deserves an Academy Award for something.
Has he ever gotten an Academy
Maybe
Award nomination?
21 Jump Street? No, that's bad.
I think Fear and Loathing Fear and Loathing.
Okay, yeah.
Well, definitely, I think he could have.
Yeah, he could have. But he's, again, like I say, he's the best at dress up, too.
Yes.
Nobody dresses up. Like Johnny's like, can I keep these? Because I'm going to use them in my next commercial where I'm standing next to a scorpion in the middle of a forest next to a rock, and I'm going to play the guitar, but I also want to look like a pirate, and then there's going to be a picture of, Yves Saint Laurent.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Shane Gillum commercial with Bud Light? Where
No.
he's sitting there, and it's like one of those commercials where it's black and white, and you got this girl that's like a model, and she's got a snake on her shoulder, and then there's a guy that's next to him, and they're doing stuff, and he's looking around going, I think I'm in the wrong commercial, right? And he's supposed to be in another commercial. Yeah, that's what Johnny does. A lot of stuff still to get to. My name's Chad Benson. Welcome to Chad Benson Show, noon to 3 every single day. Kicks off in earnest on Thursday. Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Super Talk 99.7.
All right, got a crash. This is going to be 40 westbound right near 440 in West Nashville. That's going to be exit 206, Wedgwood Avenue at 19th Avenue South. We're going to tell you about one of the organizations who will be helping to make sure 200,000 New Year's Eve revelers in downtown Nashville are safe tonight. Coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm looking at Nicolas Cage's upcoming movies.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Beyond Spider-Verse. It's a voice. The Spider-Verse is great.
Yeah, it's animated.
He plays Madden in the John Madden movie. Which...
Interesting.
Yeah. And this is after the Oakland Raiders basically got Madden to quit, and he joins with a guy at Harvard, computer programmer, and builds the Madden video game. He plays Lords of War. Remember Lord of War? That was a great movie. With Jared Leto?
I do not...
It's a true story of the guy that was an arms dealer. And it's a great movie. And it stars him and Ethan Hawke and Jared Leto.
That's good cast.
Spider Noir. Don't know what that is. The Carpenter's Son, The Prince, and Gunslingers. Oh, he's always doing a Western.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, Johnny. Don't ever quit, Johnny. Don't ever quit. 2 people did quit. Bigfoot, maybe?
In Skamania County, 2 Portland men lost their lives while searching for Bigfoot, reported by our sister station in Portland. On December 25th, the Skamania County Communications Center received a report at 1 in the morning. The report said 2 overdue people had planned to return home on Christmas Eve. A family member reported them missing and endangered. A flock camera helped locate the car associated with the missing men, leading rescue coordinators to Oklahoma Road. That's right near Willard, Washington. A 59-year-old and 57-year-old man were discovered in a heavily wooded area right off the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest.
So, did they get killed by Bigfoot? Now, they said it was the weather. I don't know if you've been to Washington State, but it's cold AF.
Yeah, especially if you're elevated.
These guys went out there basically in like a lightweight jacket and jeans. They weren't there to do I don't think they expect, we're going to spend a couple days here.
Yeah.
And it only takes a little bit of time. And, we always talk about global warming and cold cooling and this, that, and the other. Cold kills you way faster than heat.
Yep.
Every year.
It shuts everything down.
Everything down. And that's what happened with these guys. I mean, oddly enough, in a very weird way, would we like it to be Bigfoot that maybe did something? Well, in a weird way, because we're like, oh my God, then he's real. But no, it was just nature. And and you guys will find this out, and we'll debut it soon. I do a segment, my other show that I'm going to bring with me here called Nature Will Mess You Up. Because as you guys know, we could sit here, we could talk about a lot of things in life, but nature will always do what nature wants to do.
Yep. It's
been 20 years since the horrific tsunami throughout Asia. And it's 20 years, it was on the 26th. I was watching so many things about that. That killed like 300,000 people. It's crazy. Nature will always do what nature does. But we do have Bigfoot stories. If you got a Bigfoot story, let us know, because we love hearing about that. Talk a little bit about what we're looking forward to 2025 as we head into it and ring out the old year and bringing in the new year. We're just going to ring it out, the old, and ring in the new. A bunch of other things to get to. Reach across all of our social media, at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, Instagram, all the other things out there. And, of course, make sure you keep it right here. Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got windy conditions that will persist through tonight. By the time the big red music note drops, it'll be around 41, 42 degrees. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Here in Nashville, 200,000 people expected at Bicentennial Park for the big drop of the red note. Gates open at 5. Got the free concert headlined by Keith Urban and Jelly Roll. Channel 4 says the Red Frogs is one of the organizations that will help revelers, just like they did during the 4th of July and CMA Fest.
Look, it's been a big year for Red Frogs here in Nashville. And, it started, CMA Fest. We handed out 33,000 cups of water. We charged 1,888 phones. And, it's all about helping people be safe as they come to Nashville.
Yeah, look for the Red Frog tents tonight if you need a place to charge your phone, get a bottle of water, or just regroup with family and friends. Happy New Year already in parts of the other side of the world. That's how it sounded in Hong Kong. Lots of music and fireworks. By the way, U.S. officials blaming China for a significant security intrusion. We get details from ABC's Elizabeth Schulze in D.C.
Treasury Department is calling this a major breach of its systems by China state-sponsored hackers. In a new letter to Congress, the department says it learned earlier this month that hackers were able to infiltrate a third-party software provider, remotely log into Treasury employees' workstations, and gain access to unclassified documents. The Treasury says it's no longer using that software provider, and it's now working with the FBI to determine the extent of this breach.
Got a New Year's Eve health alert from the CDC. Colds, flu, COVID, and RSV cases on the rise nationwide. Here's ABC's Ike Jaichi.
Experts say these cases are expected to continue to rise in the coming weeks. So far, there have been at least 37,000 hospitalizations for the flu and 1,500 deaths. ER visits and hospitalizations are increasing due to RSV as well, particularly in young children.
Health officials say talk to your doctor about a vaccine, and the memorial and funeral plans are now in place to remember late President Jimmy Carter. This weekend, his remains will be moved to Atlanta for a public viewing at the Carter Center. Next week, a memorial service will be held at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., where President Joe Biden will deliver the eulogy. And then, says ABC's Steve Onsunsami,
President Carter will head home to Georgia for a private ceremony. He will be buried at his home alongside his wife. It is a spot that the two of them picked out before she died.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah, it is. 2024 gone. 2025 here. Will we have a new speaker? We'll have the same speaker. We're going to find out. Joining us now, Congressman, represents 4th District right here, Tennessee, Scott DesJarlais. Thanks so much for coming on today. And obviously, we've talked to Burchett. Everybody's talked about, will Mike Johnson still be there? Won't he be there? It's chaos, man. And I'm telling you right now, I think he's going to be there, but I just feel like this is shaping up to be a battle all the time when it comes to the Speaker of the House.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Chad, well, first of all, our maiden voyage, first time on with you. Happy to be here. Thank you for asking me. We of course, 2 years ago had Kevin McCarthy, went 15 rounds, 4 days, absolutely ridiculous. This time we got a slimmer margin. We're going to have 219 because Matt Gaetz is gone, so we can really only lose one person, and Tom Massey has vowed not to vote for him. And I think Victoria Sparks, who has also indicated she might not or might vote present, is going to change things. We can really only lose one person. We could have one person vote present and lose one person and still get there. But this is where President Trump needs to come in and get these people lined up and tell him, hey, let's get off to a great start here. We don't need to have a circus. We got a lot of work to do. People elected him with the popular vote, pretty much kind of a landslide, a mandate, in my opinion. We got the Senate. We have a slim majority in the House, and if we can't learn to work together in the House in a big hurry, that's on us. And so pretty important that we get this done.
Congressman, the thing that frustrates me is, look, do I like everything that Kevin McCarthy did? No. Do I like everything that Mike Johnson? No, you're not going to like all that. The issue I have is, at some point in time, you're going to make that job so untenable that getting somebody that anybody can agree on is going to be virtually impossible because you don't have like a 12 or 15, person majority.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask the half a dozen people that are saying they're unsure, like, who's their guy or who's their gal? Who's their person that can do this? Because John Boehner wasn't perfect. Newt Gingrich wasn't perfect. Paul Ryan wasn't perfect. It's a really tough job when you have a slim majority. The most important thing we can do is, frankly, be like Nancy Pelosi's team and stick together when it comes to important votes. And she was a master at keeping her party together, where we have, a half a dozen people that can't get to yes if you give them everything they ask for and more. So, the 119th Congress could be very successful or it can be a disaster if we don't learn to work together as a team.
Talking to Congressman Scott DesJarlais as we talk about the Speaker of the House. Trump is obviously having a big influence on this. He came out, he supported Mike Johnson. He doesn't want this thing to start off wonky. But there is that fear because, the minute this thing goes a little sideways and, first of all, certification of the election, but then on top of that, it looks and feels like a clown show.
Yeah, and it was a clown show last year, and people learned that, they could get things if they held out. There was, some people that took 6, 7, 8 votes, and then next thing you know, they're on an A committee, they're this or that. And so, Kevin had to promise things to people, and that didn't make a lot of people happy because you kind of have to earn your stripes up there, and so people played him a little bit. And Kevin is a dear friend of mine, and yeah, he wasn't perfect, but I wish he was still our speaker. Mike Johnson's a very intelligent guy. He's humble. I think he can do just as good a job as anybody else. Steve Scalise is a good guy, but right now Mike Johnson's our guy. And we need to get everybody lined up. We need to get him voted in. Trump's got executive orders lined up on day one. We've got immigration reform on day one. We've got so many things that the people voted for, and what I would call a mandate that we need to get this going and get the country back on track. And so let's hope that come, Friday? Let's hope on Friday we go through one round, we have a speaker, and then we get to work.
When you look at the speaker and you look at what the slim majority is, what's the argument for him and against him? Because we can all be frustrated with spending too much money or money going here, money going there, certain things. But what is that argument that by doing nothing or changing him is going to fix any of that.
Yeah, that's the question, is for all these people who have a little bit of a problem with him, who's their magic man or magic woman that is going to come in there and get everything right and do everything right? It's a matter of teamwork. It's a matter of calling, all running the same play at the same time. And Trump's going to have a big hammer here, and he's going to have to be very engaged with people. And some people, they want attention. They want to get little one-on-one meetings with Trump. So, I don't know what the reason for that is, but I guess, Trump is going to have to definitely carry a big stick, and that's the secret to success, because there's going to be people that just for whatever reason don't want to do things, and we will fail if that happens. So I think the Senate will work pretty well. I think the House can work well. But yeah, who is the speaker? If not Mike Johnson, who's the speaker that can make all this happen better than he can?
When you pose that to people, because that's always my thing. Okay, so not him, then who? What is their answer? Because a lot of times what I feel happens, Congressman, is you have a lot of people in there who are more interested in their Twitter followers than the people they represent. And they're more interested in being on Fox and all these other things than representing. They're celebrities. That's what they are.
Yeah, the bomb throwers get attention. And so, they can raise money, and they can make a small group of people happy. And we've seen a lot of them do it. But that's not what we're there for. That's not our job right now. These are critical times. We've got energy independence. Within our grasp, we've got to rebuild the military. We got to get rid of the wokeness, the DEI. We got to bring inflation down. We got to do these mass deportations, not absorb 10, 12, 20 million new illegals into our country and survive. We've got to do all these things, and there's going to be a lot of pain involved. There's people are going to say, well, gosh, yeah, I want cuts, but it's going to take an all-in approach here if we're going to turn this on. You don't turn a carrier around in 2 minutes. It's going to take time. We got good minds. We got Vivek Ramaswamy. We got Elon Musk, who, in my opinion, is like the Thomas Edison of our time. We got super smart people, and I think Trump's put together, and the people are asking to make significant changes, and we have that option. We had it in 2017, and frankly, we didn't do as well as this time. We don't have much choice. We got to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking to Congressman Scott DesJarlais, and one of the things I've talked about is everybody says, well, Trump's got 4 years. No, Trump really has a year and a half to get this thing on the direction and a path that goes right, because otherwise you guys face the opportunity, really the challenge to not only lose the House, but lose the Senate, because you're defending more there. And if that happens, then he's back to being a lame duck, and who knows what happens from there.
Yeah, I mean, he's a lame duck. And in a way, that's good, because he's not a threat. You even see the liberal media like, okay, well, let's give he's not a threat to him long term. Maybe J.D. Vance or somebody will become that in a couple of years. But right now, everybody feels the pain. They didn't buy Kamala Harris was, going to come out and rescue her here, that Joe Biden wasn't. They knew that the economy was terrible. They know what they're paying. You were paying. We see what's going on in the world with the military. And thankfully, the American people were smart enough to make a choice. And you're right, the guys are in a half. And really, the first 100 days are going to be transformative if we do this right. So I'm excited. I'm optimistic, and it feels good to be optimistic after a lot of frustration in Washington in the last few years. And so, let's get the ball rolling and start off on a good foot on January 3rd, and let's see how much we can accomplish in the first 100 days. I think it'll be a lot.
Talking to Congressman Scott DesJarlais as we talk about the speaker. Let's move on from there. First 100 days, super important, not only for Trump, but for the Republicans across the board, because there's a lot you need to do. And over the last 20 or 30 years, Congress, I think, has given a little bit too much of their power away. You guys feel like you can get some of that stuff back?
Well, I mean, we've got to try. It's draining the swamp is a big job, and it doesn't happen overnight. I know people are expecting miracles, but I think that we can do several things in terms of regulations. I think we can do things, like prices aren't going to drop 50% overnight. but maybe they'll quit going up. Maybe people can afford to buy homes again. And, maybe we can get our own workforce working and we can clear out a lot of the crime and illegal immigration that has taken over our country, and people can have faith and be proud of being an American again. But it's a tall task, and we're asking an awful lot of one person who came in with a lot of promises, but it's our job in the House and the Senate to help him, and we need to do the best we can. But you can't undo 20, 30 years of mismanagement in 1 year, but we can certainly give it a good try.
When the Doge to me is it's interesting, but one of the things that we talk about, like you say, you and I are it was the first time we're chatting, but on my show I've always talked about the fact that I don't think people realize that when they talk about the swamp, most of it's bureaucracy, right? The deep state is smaller versions with a little bit more power of bureaucracy that they can sway things, but government is the biggest lobbyist of government. And it's all about protecting government. And so many of these things that we would like to see them do, legally, they won't have that power.
And you may have hit the nail on the head right there, because there is a deep state. We saw weaponization in the DOJ and FBI and other areas that that they kind of think they run the show, because these presidents, they come, they go, congressmen, senators, they come, they go. But right now we have an opportunity to change that culture. And unlike most presidents who are run by the deep state, like Biden was, he was clearly a puppet. Kamala Harris was a puppet. Trump doesn't answer to anybody. Trump is not afraid of these people. And so we've never had a better opportunity to get rid of a lot of the deep state issues that you mentioned. I mean, there is a two-tier system of justice in this country. They can sit there and say there isn't, but there is. And, everything Trump was impeached for was basically things that he was right about. And so, I think that's the one big opportunity we have, is to get rid of government employees. It takes 300 days to fire a government employee. We're trying to change that to 30. What they usually do is promote them to get rid of them, move them somewhere else. And so we got a lot of dead wood in the government. And I think that's when they talk about cutting $2 trillion, this and that, it's going to be trying to change that culture of just government waste that goes on and on and on, and they just wait us out until you get a new administration that goes along with their way of thinking.
Last question. Appreciate you coming on today. When I look at government, and the frustration I have is it's just so big and it's unwieldy at times, and it's crazy, because there are so many laws, so many rules, like you're talking about. It takes 300 days. It takes this. You go and you've got to prepare people. You talked on it earlier. What happened in Argentina with Milei, and the fact that he got inflation down and he's cut 30% of everything, he's got far more power. But poverty has risen there, but people see that it's moving in the right direction. What's the message going to be? Because there's going to be some bumps in the road. And as we all know, we're a fickle bunch here in America. Do you have a message for people out there when things maybe don't go the way originally it plans, because it's more long term?
Yeah, I think I was just in Argentina, and you're right. The inflation was terrible there, but they believe in this guy, and he's very Trump-esque, if that makes sense. And so it takes a maverick of a leader to have the courage to make the kind of changes that will actually make a difference. And you're right. So what I guess America voted for Trump. I think people who didn't like Trump voted for Trump because they believe that he's a guy that will actually do what he says he's going to do. And it's going to cause pain. We're all going to suffer. We have our first world problems here in this country. We all, we're kind of spoiled and this and that, but we're going to all have to make sacrifices if we're going to turn this around. And so people have got to be willing, when times get tough and you see cuts, and we're bringing manufacturing back, and goods may cost more because we're not getting them from China or other countries. We're going to all have to sacrifice. We're all going to have to give a little bit, but that's what it's going to take to turn this around. So, I mean, I hope the people have the will to make the sacrifice that it takes to, put the country in the right direction. I know Trump's willing to do that. I know he's putting people in cabinet positions that are willing to do that. The question is, will the American people go along with that and, make the sacrifice that it takes to to make America great again.
Well, we're going to find out. Appreciate you coming on today. Look forward to talking to you again. Congressman Scott DesJarlais, thanks so very much, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Chad. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. A lot of stuff still to get to. We'll touch a bit about this. Some of you chimed in, about who you think should be Speaker, and it goes back to the battle that is when it comes to something like Speaker of the House is everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, as Mike Tyson used to say. And sometimes this is the best bad option in some ways. I think it's a great way to say from the movie Argo. It is the Chad Benson Show at Super Talk 99.7.
Picked up a crash near Vandy, Wedgwood Avenue at 19th Avenue South, and then 40 westbound there at exit 206, right near I-440. Downtown Nashville prepping for 200,000 New Year's Eve revelers. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's a lot of people. 200,000.
Oh, that's a whole bunch of people, man.
It just feels like a nightmare waiting to happen.
Yeah, Bicentennial Mall, I don't know if you've ever been down there, but it's not a large park. I mean, it's big, but, boy, 200,000 people in there, man.
What time do you think it's going to start to get popping?
Well, they're going to open the gates about 5 o'clock. Right now, Lower Broad's already popping.
Yeah.
These folks, they've been popping since 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you're going to day drink, today's the day, right?
That's right.
There's day drinks today, guys. Come on. Happy New Year. I like New Year's. Is fun.
Yeah, they've been at it for a while today already.
It is going to be, like I was telling Chris earlier, I mean, it's just big crowds right now. Even if I wanted to do big crowds, it just feels, and I don't want to feel that way. I would still go to something, but there's no doubt I'd be on a little extra high alert.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there's no doubt about that. You got to, because you have crazies out there. You have angry people out there. You have just all makes and models. Mm-hmm. And you take away really the West, North America for the most part. I mean, outside of Mexico, they've got their own version of terrorism, but we've been pretty unscathed outside of 9/11, a few attacks, unscathed in a way that other countries just, they haven't been for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, but now it just feels like, it just feels unsettling. That's the best way to describe it. And you know that something's going to happen at some point in time. It's just how bad is it and how big is it? Because I've always had this thought that some people come here with the designs to want to destroy America, and they're here for like 2 hours and like, this place is awesome.
Bicentennial Capitol Mall State Park is 11 acres.
Ooh. God, 200,000 people in 11 acres?
Yeah.
That seems very cozy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, does that seem a little cozy?
Perfect description.
Like, that seems like everybody's going to get to know everybody tonight in your quad.
It's like Pigeon Forge in July.
Man, that is going to be 200,000, though.
Yeah.
So is it tickets? You need tickets for tonight? Or
Nope.
is this, come as you go?
Come as you please.
So, in theory, 300,000 could show up.
Oh, yes.
Didn't we have 500,000 like 2 years? Not 2 years
Well,
ago.
for the NFL.
The draft.
The draft.
That was the craziest thing I've ever seen. The NFL draft here.
Yes.
Looking down Broadway, and I have never seen that many folks in that, like, it was chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the NFL considered it one of their most successful drafts, too.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, there's no way we won't get it again.
Oh, no, totally. I'd be absolutely going to get it again. I mean, it's so... And great, because it's a destination. People like to come here. There's things to do besides just go down Broadway.
Yeah. You don't have to get wasted in Nashville. There's other things to do.
That's one thing I'm actually very curious about is out of those 200,000, how many are going to be tourists versus locals?
That's a good, yeah. Well,
because even in the dead of winter, we got a good number of tourists here.
Oh, yeah. Well, and you just had the football game yesterday as well. So you had Iowa and Missouri here. So you had the football game, and trust me, they were outside of my window last night. Loud as can be at like 2 a.m, just going crazy. And I'm just like, really? Like, we beat you guys. Woo!
I got to be up at 2.
Our thicker kicker. Have you seen their kicker from Missouri? He's a little bit of a bigger boy, is what I'm trying to say. But they were just screaming and yelling at each other. And I'm just like, oh, my God, what's tomorrow going to be like? We put our we got our Ring like cameras, and we put them up on, because we're on we have like the second story.
Yeah.
So we could shoot down to see what's going on.
Yeah, good.
Because I think chaos is going to assume,
That'll be entertaining in itself.
Yeah, it is. So tomorrow, look for my instant everywhere, kids, at Chad Benson Show. We might have some chaos. You know what's funny, though? We've been here for going on 3 months. We've yet to see a fight, though.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. Even when they pour out at, like, last night from 11:30 till about 2:30, it was just loud as can be.
Yeah.
But even then, I've yet to see a fight. So, which is good. I don't want to see that. But you never know what's going to happen. I've seen some crazy.
Oh, yes.
Because crazy's everywhere, but not a fight. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to talk about. We'll touch a little bit about the speaker stuff because several of you have chimed in and you put it out there. We're also going to talk about Mangione. Remember him? They were betting online about him. Wait till you hear the story. It's nuts. And 9/11, speaking of attacks, there's been a update when it comes to the plea and the whole 9 yards. Talk about that as well. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. It is Happy New Year in other parts of the world. That's how 2025 sounded in Mumbai, India. Here in Nashville, downtown, gearing up for one of its biggest parties of the year. 200,000 revelers expected to watch the free concert headlined by Keith Urban and Jelly Roll and others. The famous red music note drop. Red Frogs is one of the organizations Channel 4 says is helping to keep everyone safe in Nashville.
We say we prepare for the crowds, but we have eyes for the one. We always want to make sure that everyone gets home safe. With large groups of people, it's really important that you never leave a friend behind. You know, that you always make sure you have a buddy. And I always say, make sure you drink plenty of water.
Yeah, they've got water. If you want to charge your phone or maybe regroup with your family and friends, just look for the Red Frog tents tonight. Get a load of what happened in New Orleans last night. Makes you think twice about gatherings in old buildings. Jim Ryan says they lost a landmark.
It's a fact of life for New Orleans Fire Captain Quentin Brown.
We have a lot of buildings in the cities that are fairly old.
Last night in the historic Garden District, a 194-year-old building under renovation came crashing down, injuring no one but taking out a transformer.
It just looked like a bright flash that just went across the sky.
Neighbor Jamal Israel says the building next door burned a few months ago.
So it just seems like that corner is just like bad luck.
Yeah, New Orleans, one of those cities filled with buildings that predate the Civil War. South Korea carrying out 5 days of safety checks and inspections on all of the country's Boeing 737-800s following the Jeju air crash, killing 179 people Sunday. U.S. investigators and a team from Boeing also on the scene.
Investigators are now sweeping through this area. They're combing through the wreckage. I can see twisted plane seats, in-flight magazines, safety cards, even bits of clothing. They're trying to look for any kind of forensic clue they can find.
That's ABC's Britt Clennett and the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Listen to that, huh? Pakistan.
Karachi.
That's right. Karachi. I know Karachi. Oh, that's karate. Were they just shooting stuff in the air? How would you even know what's going on in Karachi, Pakistan?
Yeah, that might just be every day.
Yeah, it's like, it's great. Like, if you've never seen some of these countries, like people riding around on the back of a moped, some guy just firing, stuff off, like the bullet has to go somewhere.
It's got to come down.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's they always like to talk about how there's so much gun control in the rest of the world, and then I see that happening, and I'm like, there's not that much gun control in the rest of the world.
Yeah. You're thinking of this. Whenever I hear people always say, well, in such and such a you know what you're saying? In the super white, overeducated West, there's all of these things. Sweden, right, all the Scandinavian countries, Switzerland, because in Switzerland, everybody has to own a gun. That's a law because they don't have a standing army, right? They have chocolate. They make great watches. We were talking about watches yesterday. Who was the guy again?
Dan Spitz from Anthrax, who left the band to actually make watches like his father and grandfather did, and his cheapest watch starts at $150,000.
That's good if you can get one. But it's like, that's what everybody's talking about. It's like, I just always laugh when people talk about, well, it's like, look at this here, look at that there. You guys don't even know. You're full of it. By the way, Switzerland's beautiful. So expensive, by the way. If you want to go to a country that's super expensive on vacation, go to Switzerland. Go to Switzerland. We'll talk a little bit later. Bell and I are arguing with somebody right now about the Speaker of the House. Somebody wants me to eat a granola bar rather than talk about the Speaker of the House. But I said I would only eat a Quaker Oats chocolate chip granola bar because I value my health, which we all know is baloney. Speaking of baloney.
Online gambling sites like Kalshi and Predicted have pulled all bets on the fate of Luigi Mangione, the man accused of assassinating United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission stepped in, banning wagers on crimes like assassination, terrorism, and war, labeling them against the public interest. The unregulated site Polymarket still hosts Mangione bets, including, will Luigi Mangione fire his lawyer before 2025? And will it be confirmed that Luigi Mangione used psychedelics?
What is wrong with us? Like, that is insane that we would even think about betting on crime. Like, is that where we've gotten to in this world? Yes, because you can bet on anything. And I'm not, I bet on, it's funny, I bet on stuff, but I just have fun with it because, I'm not one of those, I enjoy having, like prop bets and stuff like that. I'm not big on like, what's the line here? What's the line there? I like the parlays and things like that. I have fun with those. But I would never think to myself, okay, I'm going to bet and see if so-and-so is going to hang himself in prison. Like, that's the insanity of which you can bet on some of this stuff.
Hey, I made a lot of money off of the Epstein suicide. I'm just kidding.
Are you?
Yes.
See, and here's the thing. Like, crime, that's a tougher one to bet on in the sense that you could go commit the crime to win your bet. Like, was it last year that bet a bunch of money that somebody would sprint onto the field at Super Bowl and he put money on himself to do it? So then he wins. In theory, he wins. Again, that is in theory, he wins. 9/11, as we talked earlier today about the craziness of terrorism. For those of you guys don't know, it happened 2+ decades ago. Everybody's got their moment of where were you, Bell, with 9/11?
I actually, I was getting up to go to work, and Howard Stern was on in Dallas, an hour delayed. And the alarm woke me up, and I heard Gary, his producer, say, well, they've hit the Pentagon, too.
Oh,
I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, okay.
So I got in the shower, and I'm listening to the radio while I'm getting ready. And I'm like, this is crazy. I don't know what's going on. Just confused out of my mind. And then our Chicago rep, she calls me up. And she's like, do you have the TV on? I'm like, yeah, I've got the TV on. What's happening? And she starts kind of explaining what she knew about it. And the whole time, NBC, that I had the station, the NBC station on, they're rerunning the second plane hitting over and over
again. Yeah.
And I'm in such a state of shock. I'm like, where are they getting all these planes?
Yeah.
I thought it was multiple planes hitting the tower, and then she corrected me on it. But it just the weirdest part of that entire incident for me was air traffic was shut down. I live right next to DFW. I left my apartment to walk around the block to a bar. I was just going to go have a drink since there was no, yeah. Well, actually, yes. There was no job that day, and as I'm walking to the bar, 2 F-16s come screaming overhead, low as can be, and they're heading towards the airport. And I look up, and there is an American Airlines flight taking off, and it was the bereavement people from American going to San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
To explain to the families what had happened, and those 2 F-16s were to escort them the entire way.
It's funny, after a certain time of the day, only one airplane was allowed to fly, and it was an airplane out of San Diego. A guy had been bitten by, I want to say it was a brown snake in Florida, and the only anti-venom was in San Diego, and they had to call the Pentagon, and they had to go through several things, and then they had to be escorted there because otherwise this guy was going to die. And they got it there probably about an hour before he would have. But it was eerie. But I think everybody
It's amazing how something like that you completely take for granted in the course of a normal day. Oh, well, they had to medevac him here to do,
Yeah.
But the circumstances in trying to wrestle that to fruition it just had to be some of the craziest stuff those people have
There
ever
was only
dealt with.
2 places in America that had it. New York was the other one, and they were never letting a plane get up in New York at that time.
Yeah.
Ken, where were you in 9/11?
Albuquerque, New Mexico, and we lived right next to the Sunport. And it was an eerie 3 or 4 days there without any planes
Airplanes,
coming
that was the
in
weirdest thing,
or
right?
out.
That was the weirdest thing, going outside with nothing.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I was on the phone, actually, at the coffee, sugar, cocoa exchange in the tower, but they were on the bottom floor. And our rep that was on the floor, because I was trading commodities at the time, she says, "Hey, Chad, they're shutting us down." And we said, "What's going on?" And she goes, "There was a plane, a little plane. That's the way they described it originally. A little plane that hit the first tower, and they're shutting us all down." And I said, "Well, that's weird." She goes, "Yeah, it is kind of weird." She goes, it's weird because it's she thought somebody had a heart attack in like a little Cessna.
Right.
And then we heard it was a big plane, and our building was a trip. We were in Newport Beach, California, and it was like a 2-story condo. The condo above the bottom floor, they turned into little offices. Condo above us had our buddy and his wife up there. And this is 2001. We didn't have TVs. There was no streaming like there is now.
Right.
We ran upstairs. We knocked his door. We're like, "Dude," and we were sitting on the bed with him and his wife. They're both like basically naked, and we're waking him up, and we're like, "Dude, we're under attack." He's like, "What?" And as we turned it on, the second one hit, and we're like, the world's about to change.
Yeah.
The world is about to change.
Yep.
And here we are, those years later, and guess what? Those guys who masterminded, still nothing.
Negotiations on plea deals for the 9/11 plotters lasted for more than 2 years. When news of the agreements broke last summer, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin acted to revoke them. An appeals panel overseeing the tribunals now says Austin's action came too late because in keeping with the deal, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed had already begun offering what his lawyer called an extremely detailed stipulation of facts, clearly establishing his guilt. Mohammed is now on track to enter that guilty plea next week and avoid the death penalty. But the Biden administration could still ask an appeals court here in D.C. to step in.
The fact that we're 23 plus years into this and these guys still haven't.
I thought these guys wanted to die. Didn't they want to be martyrs?
Well, it's all fun and dandy till you're actually going to be martyred.
Yeah, until you're the one, you're in leadership, and it's like, oh, well, you want me to die? No.
I know. It's one of the guys that we're trying to get on the show. It was a John Curacao or whatever. He's a former CIA agent.
Yeah.
Talking about the fact that on July 6th, he and a guy named Kofi Black were entertaining like a couple guys from Middle East, but they worked in Europe. And he was talking about all the bigwigs came into what was supposed to be like a tiny meeting that wasn't supposed to be important and saying, "We're hearing chatter that something big is coming to America and this is what's going to happen." And as far as it's going to be massive. And we're hearing stuff like there's going to be a massive soccer game. We've never seen so much cheese. And it was crazy that they talked about this. And he said, 2 months later, it happened. And that's kind of the weird sense. I don't want anything to happen, but it's hard not to think that we haven't had anything. And you go look at this border, and as bad as this border's been, we don't know how bad it's really been, because to me, it's the gotaways that are the things that are most important. And I would have always said this, and this is, Biden screwed up, but even Trump, I would have gone and said, I want you to get me the head of every cartel and smuggler you know. And I would have said to them, look, we know you're going to do your business. We're going to try to stop you. But I will tell you this right now. If somebody gets through here, and we'll trace it back to you, and cartel, whatever, you guys were a part of it, Jalisco New Generation or Zetas or, whoever, we are going to come across this border full force, because we then say that you have played a part in attacking America. And we're going to come hard for you. Not kind of hard, hard. And we didn't do it the way we should have. Because let's be real. The CIA, DEA, they all make deals. You've got your business. You're going to try to do that. We don't want you to, but the reality is we consume way too much damn drugs in this country. So if there wasn't a market for it, you guys wouldn't be trying to do it. That being said, we don't need you to be helping bad people here. So I don't care what all the other stuff is. You don't allow this. All right? Like, that's the deal. Because let's be real. If you've got the cartels going, all right, these people are here from Afghanistan, these people over here from, wherever, Saudi Arabia, stop them. No, we're not doing that. But they didn't. And so that's the fear is, it is those gotaways that we know nothing about. I mean, we already seen how many people have gotten away with coming into our country, giving fake names, and then going, those guys are on the wanted list. And we've already had that. Now imagine the 750 to 1 million people over the last 4 years that are known gotaways, people that we know nothing about. We don't know if they're from Venezuela or Cuba, from Nigeria, Sweden, Germany, Saudi Arabia, Syria, wherever, China. We know nothing about them. And that right there is what I worry about. And it's terrifying. It is. When you think about what people are talking about and the sense of unease that feels kind of similar to what was on 9/11 and leading up to that. I don't want to scare anybody. I'm just being honest. But that's what I would have done if I was Trump. The first thing I would have done is, we're going to do everything to build this wall. We're going to do everything to stop you from getting people in here. One thing that could never happen is you allow terrorists who want to do damage to our country to come into our country, because if you do, we're going to look at that as an act of war. And I would let the president then, Obama, know that's what was going to happen. We shall see. A lot of stuff still to get to. A lot of fun stuff as well as semi-serious stuff, because it is New Year's Eve and we can only be serious for so long. This is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Downtown Nashville to welcome 200,000 New Year's Eve revelers on 11 acres tonight. And the Pentagon chief just lost a bid to reject 9/11 plotters' plea deals that spares them the death penalty. We'll tell you about it at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What do we do with them? That's just it. When you think about it.
Stick them in a hole.
Are you asking feelings or?
Well, I mean, I think we'd all just like to just get it over with.
It's almost like I just want to leave him there and let him rot.
Yeah, I mean, the alternative's too good.
Yeah, it's. I always go back to, like, the jail. Like, Pablo Escobar's fear, just like El Chapo and everybody else, it was coming to the American prisons. Because I know in the prisons that they were in Mexico or Colombia or wherever they were, they could manipulate. I mean, Escobar had a zoo and a discotheque. Like, that's what he had. That's why his hippos are still running free.
Yeah.
If you guys did, there's a great documentary about Pablo Escobar's hippos, the cocaine hippos. He bought all these hippos, brought them over to Colombia, and they were part of his little zoo thing. And then when he fell and, everything went sideways, nobody did anything. His hippos just got out, and then they started reproducing. And now they're a nuisance.
But those are a big nuisance.
They're a very big nuisance. But I make it as uncomfortable forever as you possibly can.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just it. I mean, but I think people would like to see justice, I mean, the execution, that's what, like, people are dreaming of.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's going to happen. So then make them uncomfortable. Do you put them in, like, a prison where it's going to be the most uncomfortable of all time? Do you put him in a hole where he gets 1 hour a week outside of showering, outside, and 23 hours inside the tiniest cell you can give him? I don't know. I mean, this was the guy. It's a weird question,
Do we have any prisons where the ice is in Alaska?
I'm sure we got a prison out there.
Just stick them in an icy prison.
They don't want them on American soil. That's the thing.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah. And he's got nothing for us anymore at this point. It's 23 years on. There's nothing he's got. Most of the people that he worked with is either blew up dead or have moved on, or there's no communication. So, I like the icy thing, though. That would be pretty good. Maybe that's why he wants to buy Greenland, which, by the way, is not green.
No, it's...
Iceland's not icy.
No. Oh, man, I've been to Iceland. Whoo! You want to feel ugly? Go to Iceland. Huh?
I lived there.
Yeah, right. Am I right?
On the Navy base, yeah.
If you want to feel ugly, go to Iceland.
There's some pretty girls there.
Yeah, everybody looks like a supermodel.
That's what I understand.
Like, you get off the plane, it's like everybody walking in slow motion. What's going on, everybody? Oh, but yeah, maybe let's put him where it's cold. That's always a good thing. I mean, it's no access to anything. Just make his life so solitary.
He has a Quran, a prayer mat, and 3 meals a day.
Yeah.
We do have to allow the Quran, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could play some Christian music, though. Just blare Amy Grant, old school.
Striper.
Striper. I would love that. Guess what, mister? Some Striper coming at you hardcore, followed by some Amy Grant and the Newsboys.
DC Talk and the Newsboys.
Oh, my Lord. It is New Year's Eve. It is the Chad Benson Show, and this here is Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to be windy tonight. It's going to be chilly, too. We're talking about a low around 40 degrees tonight when the big red note drops, ringing in 2025. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Speaking of 2025, it's already here in other parts of the world. This was Karachi, Pakistan. And again, we can't tell whether or not those are fireworks or guns. Here in Nashville, downtown's preparing for 200,000 revelers to watch the free concert headlined by Keith Urban and the Red Music Note drop. Channel 4 says one of the organizations helping to keep people safe is Red Frogs.
So we have this chill out zone where you can come, press pause, kind of regather, maybe even regroup with friends, get together with friends and kind of have a meeting point. We're able to charge your phone to make sure that you can order that Uber to get home safely, or, maybe just, take a break.
Just look for the Red Frog tents tonight there at Bicentennial Mall. Plea deals agreed to by prosecutors, and the 9/11 plotters that could spare them the death penalty are now back on track following an appeals court ruling yesterday. Here's ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
Negotiations on plea deals for the 9/11 plotters lasted for more than 2 years. When news of the agreements broke last summer, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin acted to revoke them. An appeals panel overseeing the tribunals now says Austin's action came too late because, in keeping with the deal, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed had already begun offering what his lawyer called an extremely detailed stipulation of facts, clearly establishing his guilt. Mohammed is now on track to enter that guilty plea next week and avoid the death penalty. But the Biden administration could still ask an appeals court here in D.C. to step in.
And in our nation's capital, President Trump is backing Mike Johnson for Speaker of the House. As President-elect Trump is backing Mike Johnson for Speaker of the House when members vote on Friday. But Johnson can afford to lose only 1 or 2 Republican votes. Tennessee Republican Congressman Scott DesJarlais telling WTN's Chad Benson.
This is where President Trump needs to come in and get these people lined up and tell him, hey, let's get off to a great start here. We don't need to have a circus.
Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett says he's going to wait to decide how to vote on Friday. Investigations underway into Sunday's deadly airline crash in South Korea. ABC News foreign correspondent Britt Clennett is at the crash site in Muon.
South Korea is carrying out 5 days of safety checks and inspections on all of the country's 101 Boeing 737-800s, while a team of U.S. investigators and representatives from Boeing are here to examine what caused this crash.
And plans are in place for the goodbyes to late President Jimmy Carter after his death at the age of 100. Here's Steve Onsunsami.
The former president's remains will be moved on Saturday and will first pass by his childhood home and then head to Atlanta, first at the Georgia State House for a moment of silence, and then here to the Carter Center for a public visitation that will last for a few days where people will be able to pay their respects.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
happy New Year's Eve. Don't be an idiot. I don't know how many times we have to say that here. Don't be an idiot. You're going to go out. You're going to have fun tonight. You're going to revel. Fantastic. You're going to go and enjoy 200,000+ people all cozied up with one another with it feels like 30 degrees.
Drinking hot chocolate and watching old Keith up there on the telly.
Yeah. It's funny that juxtapose Keith next to Jelly Roll.
Well, they're both really good artists. I like them both a lot.
I love Jelly Roll.
But Jelly Roll is definitely
a bigger boy. He's lost
a ton of weight.
Yeah, he has.
He's lost a lot.
He is. I think he's absolutely incredible. I'm sitting there today going, okay, who's going to be the we didn't expect to see, but somebody's coming on stage, like Post Malone in town. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because that's like so a Jelly Roll thing. But I would think, well, is Keith hosting it? Is that the whole thing?
Well, usually he's like, he comes on and does like, I want to say like maybe, an hour and a half or maybe 2 hours leading up to the red note.
Okay.
But in years past, if I recall, he has had just people you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Just show up and play. I remember the year that he did a tribute to Malcolm Young.
Oh.
That was great.
Fantastic.
I mean, he did like an AC/DC, just a trilogy, not trilogy, but what do you call that when you do all the different kinds of songs?
Like a montage?
Yeah, a montage. That was really good.
Have you been to this before?
I've not. I catch it on TV from time to time. I flip back and forth while I'm watching at home.
Yeah. And
it's social media, of course.
Of course, social media is fantastic. It's got all the opportunity to see everything all the time. That's why we see stuff like the plane crash the other day.
Yeah.
Which is so, again, it's such a weird, like you look at 9/11, as we were just talking about that, we've got some videos and stuff. Obviously, there's news cameras and stuff eventually out there. But what would that be like today with the cameras?
Wow.
And the same thing goes for, any of this stuff that goes on out there. It's like we have social media everywhere. Tonight, you can watch all this on people's phones.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
And that's how good these things are, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what's insane. So, 200,000 people tonight. Gates open at what, 5 o'clock?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Mayor Freddie O'Connell will then welcome folks starting at 5:55.
Is he going to be out there shaking everybody's hands to come in? That should be the law. If you want a choo-choo train, that's what you got to do.
Honestly, knowing Freddie, that's the kind of thing he would do.
Just nice to meet you.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Just 200,000 times. Nice to meet you. Just hold the line.
I don't know if he'd do all 200,000, but he definitely is the kind of guy that would wade into the crowd and introduce himself and start asking questions about how to improve the city.
Which is exactly what you want at a New Year's Eve celebration. What's the police presence going to be like?
They say they are going to have hundreds of cops on foot, possibly horseback down there too. They'll have the helicopter up like they usually do. The bird will be up. So they say they're going to be highly visible.
That's good. And so opens at 5:30. The kickoff is at 8.
Yeah, somewhere around there, 7 or 8. Looks like they're going to have, in addition to Keith Urban, you're going to have Kane Brown, Jelly Roll, Shabuzi, and Brittany Spencer.
Oh, not Britney Spears, because she's crazy.
Well, Brittany.
Right? Can we all admit that was like, you ever seen people now that were like, oh, let's free Britney? And they're like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe they knew more than we did.
I think at least she has dropped the knives for the time.
Yeah.
She's not dancing with the knives.
Yeah. She's still dancing naked.
Yes.
All the time.
She's
like, there's not, so I was talking one day about Britney a couple months ago, and somebody listening to my other show texted me and goes, you're disgusting. That's like you're being a pedophile. I'm like, she's 40 years old.
Yes.
Stop thinking about her. She's no longer in the girls.
She ain't on Mickey Mouse Club anymore.
No, she's 40.
She's an adult.
Yes, and she shows you she's an adult. She's in Mexico, right? She moved to Mexico.
I don't know.
I think she did. She moved.
She's still got homes here in the States.
Yeah, but I think she moved to Mexico. So when they try to come for her again.
Did you ever see the South Park episode where they blew her head off and she was still alive through the whole episode?
Oh Oh my
Goodness.
God. She is and I remember like everybody was like, well, you know, she should be able to handle her like all of her own stuff. I'm like, they know something. They know. Well, her dad's no, they know her. They know she's a hot mess and people will take advantage of her.
Yeah.
That's it. You're doing like you wouldn't want to protect your grandmother if maybe they weren't all there from people wanting to take advantage of her? Of course you would.
Apparently part of the problem, though, was that it was her father that was taking advantage of her.
Yeah, but not. I think he also set up that thing when she was young where she will never be broke no matter how hard she tries. And she's trying. Like, she's trying. But
she got rid of the conservatorship, though, didn't she?
Yeah, they did. Remember they pulled it? Because, like, we need to free Britney. And people are outside like, free Britney. And then the minute they did that, we're like, free Palestine.
I thought we wanted to leave Britney alone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you had to free her, though, from the conservatorship.
Oh, then we leave her alone? Okay.
Yeah. And then like 4 hours later, we're like, maybe this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I'm naked with knives.
Wow. Man, those poor dogs were terrified behind her. I mean, they were terrified.
She bought the knives off of Temu.
If you've not seen it, you can go online and she's there. And she'll be dancing with knives. And the dance there's no dance. She's just moving around with knives.
Yeah.
And you're watching somebody. Here's the thing. You're watching a human being have a mental breakdown.
Yes.
That's a hard thing.
It is, man.
You know, and it's not like when you see somebody on the streets and they're struggling and, you know, drugs are a huge part of it and they got mental illness and they're talking to themselves and doing the fentanyl sway and stuff. This is a human being who is broadcasting their mental illness to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What was that other girl that they are always trying to free, but then they decided, no, that was a bridge too far? Was it Amanda Bynes?
Oh, yeah. She did go off the deep end.
Yeah, she is. And she tattooed her face.
Goodness.
Yeah. She was in What a Girl Wants. And they're like, oh, look, she's going to be the next Disney star. And then like 4 years later, she's like, wow, she makes Britney look totally fine.
Well, and Britney, it's a little iffy about how bad her mental illness is or if it even exists, but Amanda is diagnosed and problematic.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like, she's been in and out of homes, and they've tried to do a lot with her. But that was the next thing. It's like, let's get her. It's like, stay out of their lives. Other people know them better.
Just take their car keys and walk away.
Oh, my goodness me. What a day. So tonight is New Year's Eve. And somebody just said, funny that Chad telling people don't be idiots will make people not be idiots. No, it's just a friendly reminder.
It's just a reminder. Don't be stupid. Don't think you're invulnerable. You're not 10 foot tall and bulletproof. And even if you don't hurt yourself, you could hurt somebody else. And, hurting yourself is one thing. You can't do that to other people.
No. And I'll tell a story one more time. I had a friend a couple of years ago tonight who was an amazing woman. And I say was because she's no longer with us. And her and her husband, and she was the first person when I moved to Phoenix and into the radio station that came. She got my first endorsements. Her and I became fast friends. She got a husband. She got a couple young twins. And her and her husband going out 2 years ago tonight to dinner early, right? Stay off the roads. They took an Uber because they knew they were going to have some wine. They wanted no part of it. Like 7 o'clock at night, dude smashes into them, kills her instantly, and destroys her husband's life because of what they did to. He'll never walk in a real way again. I mean, absolutely. And the guy was so drunk, so absolutely just gone. And the poor Uber driver, both of his arms were essentially just destroyed. And of course, whatever happens to the drunk driver, most of the time, nothing. But it is the easiest thing in the world to do. It is. Uber is everywhere. And I know, you're not making the best decisions in life when you're drunk. But as Belle said, you're going to potentially ruin other people's lives. But you're going to ruin your own life. Even if you don't hit or kill anybody, you get arrested. That's a lot of money.
What's it average? About 10,000?
At least.
And court costs and legal fees.
At least $10,000. I don't know what it is anymore. But it is, and it's one of those things, like we always talk about stuff that's preventable. Like this is so preventable. Yet tonight, there's going to be somebody that dies. Tonight, somebody's going to hit somebody and change their lives. And some of these people are so drunk. I'll flip around on Reels, and there's this girl. She kills 2 people, and she's worried about getting to class tomorrow. And they're explaining to her.
I saw that. She has no clue. She's just murdered somebody.
Yeah. She has zero clue about, she just wants to go to class. And I'm going to be in trouble because I got to go. Like, you are not paying attention. You're not going anywhere for a really long time. And you're in your early 20s and your life is ruined. Ruined. So be smart. Even if you're an idiot, be smart. Because it's sad to think that there's going to be that report that we always get on like a Sunday night. The New Year's Eve weekend, blah, 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 blah. There was 712 arrests and da-da-da-da-da. And we already have an issue with people being arrested here for not being drunk. But there's going to be people that did die. And there shouldn't be. And that's all we're saying. It's simple and easy as that. Simple and easy as that. So it is frustrating, man. It is frustrating. As a kid, how many of us got the MAD card? Did you get the MAD card school ever? One of those, they come to do one of those, like MAD would come, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, and they bring a car that was all smashed up. And
yes, I vaguely remember something like that. I don't think it was MAD, but I remember a couple of those kind of assemblies in high school.
Yeah, ours was just the sheriff's.
Oh yeah, they bring one of their
sheriff's
cars.
Department.
Yeah, like trying to.
And the sheriff's up there in front of the class, going, "This man," pointing at Ken, "will lead you to ruin. Do not pay attention to this man and his beard."
It's just it's crazy. It is, and I say that very front. That's the reason I'm not going out. Most people, by the way, not going out tonight. Vast majority of Americans look at this like Bell said it yesterday, amateur hour.
Until Jimmy Buffett died, there were 2 situations I wouldn't go out on the road for, and that would be New Year's Eve and a Jimmy Buffett concert, because that's when all the non-drinkers decide they're going to have themselves a party night, and they don't know how to hold their liquor.
No.
I mean, you would see stockbrokers wasted out of their minds leaving Jimmy Buffett show.
Oh,
lawyers, people that just don't drink,
or
and
the
they're
Grateful Dead, right? Like, going to a play, because the Grateful Dead's just 8 hours
I don't think
of the worst music ever.
Well, that's kind of mean.
It's the truth.
But how many
jam bands are the worst thing ever?
No, you got to be.
I would rather fight great white sharks with no arms than listen to the Grateful Dead. In the ocean, by the way. They're the worst.
Oh, now, come on.
Like Fish, that band Fish.
I never liked Fish.
Yeah. So they're just a slicker version of the Dead.
I'm not necessarily a fan of the jam bands, but you can't deny. I mean, look at how many tickets Fish can sell at a concert.
Oh, they do. Well, they do. Yeah, that's great, but who goes there? Hippies.
Well,
you hippies.
Eugene.
That's right, hippies.
They just hold a concert in Eugene every year.
Oh, see? Just a bunch of hippies. Tie-dye wearing 65-year-olds just playing songs, going, listen to this jam, man. And that's how it starts. Next thing you know, you're wearing hemp. You haven't bathed in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's
wearing
normal.
Hemp. Wearing those. I remember those hemp pullovers. Man, we thought we were something.
I know great white sharks don't have arms. I said I'd rather fight a great white shark with me having no arms. Oh, my goodness. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to get to. Ken's going to have all the information on what's going on tonight as the big party begins. And what time's the note? What time do we get to see the note?
That usually, the note is always there. But I want to say that thing starts coming down at like 2 or 3 minutes before midnight.
Okay.
Maybe sooner than that, but it takes a while for it to get down.
It's going to be a party tonight. Be careful out there. A bunch of other things to get to. This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Got a crash downtown, Representative John Lewis Way near Union Street. Then in Belmont, we've got police reporting a crash 65 northbound at Wedgwood Avenue. And then in Smyrna, we've got debris in the road, 24 westbound near the Almaville Road, exit 70. New developments that could spare the 9/11 plotters the death penalty coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
As roughly 1 million people plan to ring in the new year by reveling in New York's Times Square, nearly 3/4 of Americans plan to stay home to end 2024. That's according to a new survey from the Associated Press and researchers at the University of Chicago. The poll asked American adults, how do you plan to spend New Year's Eve? It found that 72% plan to celebrate at home. 21% will go to a relative or friend's home. And just 6% overall intend to go out to a bar, restaurant, or other organized party. The number of people going out doubles to about 13% for the age group 18 to 29. People 60 and older are least likely, just 2%.
It's still not everybody. I mean, when you think about it, it's not. As you get older, and like my kids are excited because they're going to try to stay up tonight. My little one, I don't know if she'll make it, but, my 14-year-old will, because my son will start playing video games at like midnight. Oh, my God, whatever is great, because he's in San Diego. But, when you get older, it's just, like Chris and I were talking, tomorrow's Wednesday. That's it. It's like, that's it. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It's a day for us to rest, watch football games. That's what it is. Belle, are you seeing the fact that people are making fun of you and I for liking ABBA?
Oh, dude, I've been dealing with that since I was 11 years old. You think that phases me?
What the hate for ABBA? Like, if we're going to get down to it, who's a better group, ABBA or the Grateful Dead? It's ABBA. It's not even close.
Well, certainly when it comes to my listening habits, that would be the case. But if somebody's a huge Grateful Dead fan or a Fish fan or Widespread Panic or any of those groups, I'd, hey, dig into what you love.
Absolutely. But would you say 380 million copies? Somebody like them.
Yeah. That's singles and albums and EPs and everything.
That's
but it's 380 million.
insane. That is so insane.
SOS is the best song ABBA ever recorded.
Oh,
leave it to the unwashed masses to pick out the hit and then claim that it's the best.
And what do you think is the best song?
There is no such thing as bad ABBA. Some is just better than others.
So, have you ever seen Bjorn again?
Actually, I have. I saw them in Atlanta about 20 years ago.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
they did when Erasure, the pop band, they did ABBA-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Then Bjorn again did Erasure-esque.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah. So
that's pretty funny.
Bjorn again was great. They were awesome. I saw them with Super Diamond. If you don't know what Super Diamond is, it is better than Neil Diamond at his best.
Oh, so it was a Neil Diamond tribute group.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great. Because some of those tribute bands are amazing. If you can make a living at it, right?
Yeah.
Like that Journey tribute band.
I don't know if it's a person or a company, but the people that hold the rights to Bjorn Again, there are 4 different touring versions of that band all over the world.
It's like Gallagher. Remember the comic Gallagher?
Mm-hmm.
You know what happened to him?
He died.
His brother stole his act.
Oh, did he?
They went to court, and the court basically said, you, Gallagher, get to play Gallagher from, like, Mississippi all the way west. Your brother gets to play him in New York. And you're like, are you kidding me?
That's unbelievable.
That is so bizarre. Like, that is crazy.
Well, you remember the band Queensryche?
Yeah.
They had the falling out with their lead singer, Jeff Tate. And in the process of the lawsuit, the judge decided only Jeff had the rights to play Operation Mindcrime and Empire in their entirety, and that the band that he was leaving could not play their own album in its entirety on a show.
Yeah, that's the way it always. I was watching something the other day because they were always asking about John Deacon. Would he ever do anything with the rest of the guys from Queen? And he was really weird. They said first and foremost, Freddie and him were like best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were super tight.
And as odd because Freddie was flamboyant and crazy and all this stuff, and John was an engineer, very boring, and they were really tight. But they said no, he wants nothing to do with us, but he does take our checks. Because they do have to ask him if they're going to go on tour.
Yes.
Yeah, and
he still owns one quarter of the company.
Yeah, or did. They sold it now, right? And they sell everything?
I don't know if he sold his rights or not. I know that Brian and
I think they sold
Roger
everything.
Sold off theirs, but I don't know if John did.
Yeah,
they wouldn't necessarily be able to force him to divest of his 25%.
You know, it's funny. What was the other thing they were talking about? If you read that contract, it says likeness, because the thought is that they're going to recreate them almost as holograms with new music.
Well, Kiss has already done that.
With
Not
new
music, but
no, this will be new with new music. So, which will be weird. So much other stuff to get to as we count down the new year. The revelry is beginning, and Ken's going to have everything when it comes to that. So be careful out there, people. Right, 200,000 people in a small space. That feels like it could be smelly. That's all I'm saying. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And here we are 23 and a half years later. The 9/11 plotters have won a military court battle that could spare them the death penalty. Agreements with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 2 other defendants that would have them plead guilty are back on track. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin tried to block the deals, but a military appeals court released its ruling last night that sided with defense lawyers who said Austin had no legal authority to reject a decision already approved by the Guantanamo court's top authority. Austin does have the option of taking his effort to throw out the plea deals to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. 2025 starting to arrive around the world. This was New Zealand as the clock hit midnight. Here in Nashville, 200,000 people expected to ring in the new year at Bicentennial Park. Security enhancements, including hundreds of Metro cops, are in place. Channel 4 says Red Frogs is one of the organizations that will be helping people who need directions, maybe phones charged, a bottle of water, or just a place to regroup with family and friends. Just look for the Red Frog tents. And in Puerto Rico,
an island-wide blackout plunging Puerto Rico into darkness on New Year's Eve, leaving 90% of customers, some 1.3 million, without power. The utility that runs the grid blaming the outage on a failed underground power line and says repairs could take a couple of days. It's just another frustration for Puerto Rico's residents, already familiar with frequent outages due to an outdated power grid that's still reeling from Hurricane Maria in 2017.
That is Dave Packer reporting. And the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Enjoying the beautiful day. It's cold outside. It's chilly outdoors. Matt will be up here in a little bit. And again, starting on Thursday, it kicks off in earnest, the Chad Benson Show. And follow me across all my social media. We have fun, do a lot of videos, and that's going to be picking up in the new year. And it is the new year. So I'm sure many of you have resolutions that you're looking at. And make those things not resolutions, but make them, yes, plans, right? Set out a plan and goals rather than just a straight resolution.
A new poll from the AP and the University of Chicago's Nork Center finds that more than 50% of us do resolve to do something in the coming year to improve our lives or the lives of others. The same study finds that about 40% of us anticipate a better year personally. About a quarter think next year will be worse than 2024.
Those are Democrats. Because when you break it down, and I'm serious, when they break it down, 69% of people who are Republicans feel that it's going to be a really good year. But only about 13% of Democrats and some independents. I think it's going to be a good year. You know, there's going to be ups and downs. That's life, right? Like, so Ken, if you're going to do one thing, if you set like a one thing you'd like to do, what is it?
Save more money.
Yeah. God, I need to.
I do too, man.
And kids, like, I need to eat. Yeah. I'm like, you don't really. Save more money, I think would be that's a big deal. Obviously, you know, everybody's saying losing weight. Yeah, losing weight, but like getting fit, just being active.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be that hard. All right, Belle. We're going to ask Belle.
Yeah.
Because I want to know what Belle's won. So Ken's saving more money. Writing this down, guys, so we can come back here in a year and go, all right, did it work? What is your goal for the new year?
The one that comes to mind first is to just not beat the living hell out of people that irritate me.
Okay, that seems a little violent. What about personally that is not so criminal?
Wait a minute. It's not criminal if they're irritating me.
No, I think it is. Even at that point in time.
I don't know. If you talk about it's almost like a wish. You can't talk about your wish or it doesn't come true.
No, you talk about the goals you want because then Ken and I hold you accountable.
Oh, I see how
That's
that works.
how it works. You need an accountability buddy.
I don't want to be accountable. Accountability buddy?
Accountability buddy. Everybody needs accountability buddy.
Accountability
What
buddy.
show was that?
I don't know, but that sounds awesome.
I think it might have been from Seinfeld.
Yeah, it's accountability buddy. Yeah, you tell people what you want to do. Like, hey, I want to drop 25 pounds this year, right? I want to be able to, whatever it is. I'm starting a business. And by the way, when you go and do stuff like that, know this. People are going to poo-poo you. They are. Like, you try to do something where they feel you're breaking away from them. But you want to find that accountability buddy and make sure that they hold you accountable. So you better figure out what you're going to do, Belle, because otherwise Ken and I are going to sign a project to you.
I guess my goal would be to start a new company and not have people poo-poo me.
Oh, there you go. What kind of company have you thought of?
Oh, I got to do that too?
Oh.
Why is this so difficult?
I don't know. You don't think about stuff like this? Like you don't think of future?
Actually, of course I do.
Well,
yeah.
Your very laissez-faire attitude in life is not something that we here, that Ken and I are agreeing with.
Well, somebody's got to be the odd man out. It might as well be me once in a while.
So the accountability buddy. All right. So you want to be a stripper. So we're going to make sure. What's your stripper
What do you
name?
mean want to be? How do you know I haven't been?
What's your stripper name? Belle of the Balls?
No, I need. What could I use? I have no idea. That's a good question. I got to come up with one.
Oh, God, that would be great. Now coming to the stage. Put your hands together for Belle of the Balls. Pour some sugar on her.
I'd probably end up using some like really bad cologne nickname or something like that. Next up is Polo or Draco
Polo Chavez.
Draco Noir.
Polo Chavez Escondido. Was it Michael Vick? Called himself Ron Mexico when he went for a VD test.
Did he?
He said, "My name's Ron Mexico."
So he was trying to cover up the fact that he was taking a VD test?
Oh,
he called himself Ron Mexico.
Ron Mexico.
It's almost Ron Swanson.
That is spectacular. Oh, stripper names are fun. You know, I saw something yesterday that really, I'm like, I got to do there's no way that this is true, that 1.5 million American women are on OnlyFans?
I believe it.
And 1.2 million of them are between 18 and like 29.
Doesn't surprise me.
And that's almost 11% of women 18 to 29 are on OnlyFans.
I believe it does not surprise me.
Is that
well,
insane?
they've got like 80 million registered users.
That just feels insane.
Mm-hmm.
We are, and the funny thing is, OnlyFans didn't start out to be like super adult.
No,
not
at all.
You could go out there and somebody teach you how to do like a mechanic stuff or to cook. But now it's like, I'm going to teach you how to be a mechanic, but naked.
Even bands have OnlyFans pages where they're like, hey, if you want to hear the brand new song, you got to be an OnlyFans subscriber. We're going to have it on there exclusively for the first week before anybody else gets it.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear our new music, you got to subscribe to our OnlyFans.
But like 1.2 million, like 11% of young women are on OnlyFans.
And some of them are only showing you pictures of their feet.
Yeah, the feet thing.
They're making millions.
I got to be honest. If I could sell my feet pictures, I totally would.
I'm going to shave.
Oh, I would too.
I'm going to shave my toes.
No.
Do they look like your beard?
You're going to ruin your niche appeal. You're going to ruin your niche appeal. Don't do that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to have a niche.
I'm going to shave my toes and put a ring on my pinky toe.
Somebody
Your
just
little
chimed
anklet
in.
bracelet.
My best friend has a nurse that works for him. She does OnlyFans. She makes $8,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that's probably on the low side. I mean, the ones that...
How many of them, though, are doing this and they make $300 a month?
Oh, I'm sure there's definitely a segment of that.
Like a massive segment, I'm assuming.
But there's also a huge segment. There's people out there that are making their living off of it. And there's people out there getting rich off of it. I mean, because there's one girl, I don't remember her name, but her income last year was $29 million from OnlyFans. $29 million.
Let's see what the highest paid OnlyFans.
Be careful. You don't want to look that up on a company
here we
computer.
go. All right, you ready for this? Oh my God, Black China. She earns $20 million a month.
Goodness.
Bella Thorne, actress. I don't think she does anything.
She's a mattress actress.
Yeah, not anymore though. She was a kid actress.
She was?
Yeah, she starred in the movie with Adam Sandler when they go to the big game reserve, like, where in
What's
Africa.
What's her last name?
Bella Thorne. She has enticing photos.
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
Cardi B, Iggy Azalea, Coco Austin, Mia Khalifa.
She's an expert.
You guys want to know the crazy one for me? Bad Barbie. AKA Cash Me Outside Girl.
Oh, yeah, she's getting rich off of OnlyFans.
She made $52 million her first year on OnlyFans.
Goodness.
Good morning. Gentlemen, I'm feeling a need to take my clothes off.
And right now, are you ready for this? And that was starting in 2021 in April. She makes on average $4.3 million a month.
Man.
I know.
It's nice work if you can get it.
If you can get it. It's like, think about this. Dr. Phil had a girl on that was so obnoxious that she was going to say, catch me outside, catch me outside.
Which was her way of threatening to whoop his ass.
Yeah. And then she turned that into like a rapping career. Now, I read something the other day. She's like, yeah, I bought this house here. It was like $22 million in Florida. I paid cash for it, but I'm still selling my other house for like $11 million. And
crazy.
She's like 22.
Man.
I know. Like, if I could, I would.
I think we definitely need to talk to these women about some income redistribution.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right. The girl from American Pickers does OnlyFans.
Oh, does she?
What do you pay, Jason? It's like $9.99 a month.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I've never been on OnlyFans.
She used to be before the show.
Like a burlesque, right?
She worked in the shop with Mike, but she was doing. It was. I guess you would call it adult, but it wasn't like there was a lot of nudity involved or anything. She did burlesque.
Okay, well, that's not really the same.
No. I mean,
not like what these kids are doing.
No,
these youngsters. These youngsters. which one died? The little guy, right?
Yeah, Frank Fritz.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a stroke and then passed away, a couple months ago?
Because if they fired him?
No, he had health issues.
Okay.
He had, I think he had Crohn's disease. He was fighting his alcoholism, and there was something else wrong with him that caused the stroke, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah. So, are they still doing that show?
Yeah. And it's lost a lot of viewership, but it's still, I mean, for time being, it's profitable.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, they've got a what's the name of the store? I don't know. I forgot the name of Mike Wolf's tourist trap that he has here over in just outside of downtown, and he's got stuff in there. You walk in, you see stuff from the show, but none of it's for sale. The whole thing is just basically him trying to sell T-shirts and keychains and coasters and koozies and all that stuff.
Man, that's yeah, because you're now at that point where, like, do you even sell a lot of this stuff anymore? You just go around, pick it up, and it's really about getting people to buy your merch.
Yeah. I actually tried to get him on Matt's show one time just to talk about, why he came to Nashville and what was it about, the business climate here that made him open up his second store. And I went to the store to try to figure out how to contact him. And they were they were running roadblocks on me left and right.
Really?
Yeah.
Antique archaeology.
Yeah, that's thank you.
Yeah, like several people have chimed in. It's that's so weird. Like when you go back 15 or 20 years and think about the fact that we have groups of people that we would have thought, you're weird buying some sort of storage unit and that's going to turn into a show.
Yeah.
Like these people are famous now.
Yeah. That's true though. That's the weird thing about it is they're absolutely famous, and they're famous for, doing what is their regular day job.
Yeah, it's a mundane thing. Like we don't have that with like, hey, let's follow Bob the accountant.
Because if you think about it, every time you're buying those storage sheds or those storage units sight unseen. So if I'm sitting there and I'm about to drop down $500 for a storage unit or whatever it is, I'm sweating going, oh, please let me get my money back out of this.
You know what? We got to do that this year. Okay,
What?
Here's what we're doing on the show this year. One of the things we're going to announce. Are you ready for this, Ken? Everybody ready?
Do
Ready.
it.
We're going to do that. We're going to go buy a storage unit just for a laugh and see what we can do with it. But the other thing, we're going to start up a day a month where we do Tradio.
Tradio?
I did that when I was 19.
Tradio is where somebody will call up and go, hey, man, I got a freezer and I don't need it and it works. And somebody goes, does anybody out there have tires? And somebody goes, yeah, I got tires for this. And then they swap it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen on Craigslist where people start out with a paper clip and they end up with
and then they get stabbed.
a car.
That's
right in the
Craigslist.
eye.
Remember Craigslist? I was watching Family Guy one night. He's like, where'd you sell our house? He goes, oh, on Craigslist. And I made a dangerous friend. Let's see if we can get somebody kidnapped.
Neil Bargatze has this entirely hilarious bit where he's talking about his wife selling crap on Facebook Marketplace.
Oh, God.
And she was trying to sell a child's folding chair for $5. And the punchline was, best case scenario, we get $5. Worst case scenario, we're all murdered.
Did you see that last year his tour was the #1 tour?
Does not surprise me.
$82.5 million.
Does not surprise me at all. He's worth every dime of it, too. He is just hilarious, and his father is great, too.
Yeah, the magician.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're going to wrap it up. Matt's here. So put a bow on today. Again, nothing crazy today. Why is that? Simple, because it's the new year. We're saying goodbye to 2024. Hello to 2025. We'll hit the ground running then. We're just having fun. Matt's going to be here straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Fucking, we are having fun here. It's the new year, everybody. 2025, not too far away.
It's close.
Are you excited?
I am.
What are you going to do for the new year tonight?
I am going to go to bed.
That's right, because tomorrow's Wednesday.
Tonight is amateur night.
He's going to make his wife a delicious dinner.
That's nice of you.
I'm going to go to bed.
Erica, I tried.
So we were talking about college football, and I actually have, you mentioned that Bobby Bowden was somebody that you looked up to.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good Bobby Bowden story.
Oh, tell me.
So this did not happen to me. It happened to my father-in-law. My father-in-law has worked in stained and leaded glass for a lot of years and became known in the Southeast enough that someone that he worked for recommended him to Bobby Bowden, or to Bobby Bowden's wife. And so he was at Bobby Bowden's house for several days doing their front glass, stained glass on their front door, or leaded glass on their front door. And it was a great story. He said that for the days that he went in there, Bobby Bowden would go into his office, and he had two closets in his like everyone. He didn't have any like gates. Like people could just walk up to his front door, knock on the door, which they did while Bob was there, and they would give Ms. Bowden stuff. Like Bobby Bowden wouldn't be there, but they would give they would give his wife stuff that they wanted Bobby Bowden to sign, and she would write down what they wanted. She would put a note on it, and she would go into his office, and he had a closet in his office that was the in closet, and a closet in his office that was the out closet. And for about an hour or whatever a night, he would go in and he would take stuff out of the in closet, look at the notes, sign, personalize everything, and then put it in the out closet.
That's pretty cool.
And then people would come back and pick it up.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, you're just living a very approachable life.
Absolutely.
And in today's world, I wonder if that doesn't happen now in today's world.
No, probably not.
You know, I was going to talk about today, but I thought we weren't going to be too serious today. The whole NIL thing, because, you saw that those guys are suing now. Florida State, the basketball, Hamilton, for $250,000 each. And it's nuts.
Yeah, they've got to get a handle on it. It's the wild. I mean, they say it's the Wild West. I hate using that phrase because the Wild West wasn't all that wild, but it is crazy. There's a report today that there is a team that has offered Quinn Ewers, the starting quarterback of the Texas Longhorns, currently in, I don't know, $6 million.
My buddy said Oregon's going to offer him something ridiculous.
To transfer, he's still in the college playoffs. So he is
going to transfer. He's going to do it.
Well, I understand that because you got to play Arch Manning. I mean, I understand that dynamic, but the bottom line, I mean, you can't have teams communicating with your starting quarterback while they're still in the season. You got to get some handle on it. You got to have a salary cap.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the insanity of, and just saying, I like this school, like Portnoy, and it's like, I'm going to give $10 million to get this guy to come here. And you're just like, this is, I mean, it's all above board now. But who was it they were talking the other day? All 16 starters in the SEC, including Pavia here, make more money than Brock Purdy, who's in the NFL. Every one of them will make more money next year than Brock Purdy.
Everybody gets Lamborghinis.
Oh, man.
It's crazy.
You get a Lambo, and you get a Lambo, and you get a Lambo.
Everybody gets a Lambo.
It is a party that is getting ready to start. You guys have a safe night. Don't do anything stupid.
What are you doing?
We're going to, the kids and I, we'll stay up and revel, and we're going to have some poppers, have some fun, and then we'll probably all fall asleep a little early, and then, get ready for the new year.
Yeah. Have your greens and your black eyed peas tomorrow.
No, I think
very important. Very Southern tradition. Very important.
I don't like the black eyed peas. They were not my favorite band.
Eat 'em!
There you go. Matt, straight ahead. It's Chad Benson Show. Have a good one. Merry New Year. Super Talk 99.7.